North Coast Football. Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 4 of the fantasy football season. I am John Clark, and once again, we're going to take a look at all the goings-on in the North Coast Football Fantasy Football League. There are a lot of good storylines this week, including one brother versus brother match. So let's get into it, shall we? First things first, let's take a look at the movement in the standings here. There's quite a bit of movement, and as a matter of fact, we only have only one undefeated team left, with Bones Bombers losing his matchup. So, Vince, Marsala Maulers, you are the lone undefeated team. Will he remain so after this week? I don't know. We're going to find out. Crazy things have been going on. There have been some moves that were made, including a trade that went through this morning, which kind of messed me up when I was making my graphics for this thing. But there were some moves that were made that will probably affect things going into week 5. So, anyways, I just want to point out one thing. Yes, I did lose my match. It was unfortunate. I did lose to Vince and the Marsala Maulers, which, again, we're going to go through this. We're going to go through what happened. But I just want to point something out to everyone else in the league. If you just take a little look at the points against, just take a gander at it. And if you're anybody except for Castleton, you have less than 500 points against in 4 weeks. But if you just happen to be Castleton, 521 points against. Would you guys take it easy? I like my team. I have a good team. 521 points against after only 4 weeks of ridiculous. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys. My record does not reflect my talent. Anyway, all right. Hey, let's get into the matches, okay? Kicking things off, we're going to take a look at Matt and the Finns. Now, he had his bye week, which is great. Great for you. You had a week off. You didn't have to stress about anything, but your players still play, so we're going to take a look at him, right? Now, knowing that it's your bye week, you probably didn't try to set your most optimum lineup, and that's okay, right? That's okay. Enjoy the week off. It's a stress-free week from pretend football. But we're going to kick things off. Josh Allen still getting it done, man. Still getting it done. He's looking fantastic. Definitely the bright spot of your roster. Very, very good QB you got going on there. Now, your secondary QB with Mr. Daniel Jones. Look, I know I'm not your team manager. I know. Sometimes I'm going to give advice as though I were. That's what I get paid for, okay? So I get the big bucks. You can drop Daniel Jones. You can definitely just drop him. He's no good. He's awful on an awful offense, on an awful team. He makes awful decisions, and he should feel bad about himself. Daniel Jones. All right, anyways. Josh Allen. Woo, 25. Now, moving on to your running backs. Malcolm Brown is kind of, the whole Rams backfield is a big old question mark, man. It wasn't supposed to be Malcolm Brown. It's supposed to be Henderson, right? And now Cam Akers is coming back. I have Cam Akers on my bench. I don't know what I'm doing with him. Oh, it's a bit of a mess. So, it's definitely at the very least a wait and see. You got a week where he was in your lineup because I know Fournette being out. Again, I know bye week. I get it. And the DeAndre Swift, that's fine. That's DeAndre Swift things with your 13. Lockett, a down week for Lockett. Yeah, thank goodness, right? Thank goodness it was your bye week. And then same with Preston Williams. Man, your wide receivers did not show up. At all. Darren Waller was, he's going to be solid. Man, the tight ends are just, gosh, that whole position this year. I usually say that every year. That whole position sucks. Keenan Allen, I know there's, a lot of the analysis around Keenan Allen is, oh, he's great, he's awesome, oh, he's awful, drop him. Hey, he's Keenan Allen, he's doing fine. 10 points. Hey, what, are you going to drop him? No. Moving on to your bench here. You've got a lot of, J.K. Dobbins in the Baltimore backfield. You got a lot of backfield like by committees that haven't figured things out yet. Being a Washington fan, at least they're starting to figure things out. But Baltimore and LA, man, both of them. I don't know what their coaches are doing, but they're not doing us any favors, that's for sure. Leonard Fournette, hopefully he'll be back. That way, that'll settle some of your issues there. Mecole Hardman, I think he's a good play. Now, Julio Jones, man, as a Devontae Adams owner and going through hamstring issues right now with him, it's never fun when your wide receiver, especially one that's your deep threat guy, has hamstring issues. And Julio Jones, it looks like it's not going to be a quick thing. So, waiting for news on that, but that really sucks, man. That really sucks. So, you got some depth at wide receiver. That's good. That's a very good thing. But, man, the injury to Julio Jones, that's going to be something going forward you're going to have to contend with. All right. Very good. So, 90. So, this week's average, I believe, was 112. 112. So, it was another not super high, not the highest average week we've had in scores, but, make some moves. Try to get a more consistent running back situation going. Anyways, all right. Moving on to the next matchup. We're going to start things off with our first head-to-head matchup with Adam versus Josh, the 8-bit defenders against the wet-ass Pips. As you can see by the big scores, it was not very close. Both teams were affected by the shenanigans of the virus this week, affecting both teams' QBs, their regular starting QBs. Anyway, so let's take a look and see what happened here. We're going to start off with Adam, the 8-bit defenders. So Adam was, you can see, he couldn't start Big Ben, who's been really good so far. He's been really good. So he had to go Joe Burrow. Now, certainly there were worse options out there, but you're never excited. Joe Burrow has been pleasantly surprising with his performance on an atrocious team, but he's no Big Ben, right? So you got your 18 points from Mr. Joe Burrow. You'll take it. You'll take it. But I think Big Ben would have done you better. Anyways, we're not gonna harp on that for too long, right? It's gonna happen to many teams throughout this season. So this was just the first time it actually started happening, so we got to mention it. Adrian Peterson and Kenyon Drake, both of them. Wow, what is going on? What is going on? Kenyon Drake should have had a week. He really should have. I'm not sure what's going on there. I watched the game and I still don't know what's going on there. And Adrian Peterson, he looked a bit old. So, but that wasn't the most surprisingly bad thing that happened to you. Adam, even though the 106 it's a decent score, it was mainly down to really your defense and Kittle. Kittle's back. Oh, Kittle's back. 35.6. It ain't going to be week to week, and it sucks that it happened on a week you lost, right? But 35 points from your tight end is amazing. And you might have noticed I skipped over your wide receivers because Lord have mercy. A.J. Green with 0.8. Surprisingly, not the most disappointing wide receiver on the week, but the most disappointing one on your team. 0.8. A.J. Green. Man. Okay. Darius Slayton. When you're beat out by Darius Slayton. soundly. That makes you... Adam, if you're nervous, listen, I hope you're having a good time. I'm having a good time with fantasy football. I really am, even with my record. Even with my complaints at the beginning of this video. Yeah, I'm still having a good time. I hope you're having a good time. But it does suck when things like that happen. Mark Ingram, another part of that Baltimore backfield. I think I read a stat where no Baltimore running back has had more than 11 touches. I mean, that's a problem. You need your running backs to get those touches. They don't get those receiving points in our half-point PPR format, so they've got to get that volume. But anyway, all right. I don't know what to do about your running back situation. I don't. Because it's a little bit surprising. It shouldn't be that bad. It really shouldn't. I don't know what to do about your A.J. Green situation either, to be honest. I mean, except make some moves. All right, so on your bench, hey, James White is back. There you go. That's a good thing going for you. He only got 9 points, but going against Kansas City, maybe New England will start figuring some things out in the running back. Plus, going forward, you've got Mr. Big Ben and Claypool. Claypool could be a play, right? Hey, they're past their bye now. Super early surprise bye, but you got him for the rest of the season, right? So that's good. That's good going forward. Hunter Henry, it would be like, okay, Hunter Henry, but you've got Kittle, so there you go. And Dalton Schultz. I didn't realize you had Dalton Schultz. I saw his performance, and I was like, man, that was pretty surprising. We're going to get into Dallas. We'll talk about Dallas a little bit later. But Dalton Schultz, yeah, he's someone to keep an eye on. I don't know what, obviously I don't think you need 3 tight ends, but one of these things is not like the others. Let you figure that out. All right. Moving over to Josh and the wet-ass Pips. 143. Man, oh man. One of the top dogs this week. And there weren't many. There were a couple that hit the high stratosphere, and then there were most that hit below that 112 average. That's what happens when you have a high average. You got those few that score way above it, and everyone else falls well short. But you were well above this week, Josh. Getting your 3-1. Yeah, hitting the top of the league right now, right? Not number 1, but you're in the top. So let's look at your team, and boy, oh boy, did they perform. Now, you had Cam Newton out because of the shenanigans. Cam Newton was out, and your switch, hey, Fitz magic. You never know what he's going to get you. And this week he got you 24 points. There you go. Ooh, just wiping the sweat off. Ooh, dodged a bullet there. But really you didn't, because everyone else just went nuts. Your Christian McCaffrey replacement with Mike Davis, great. He did okay did better than okay for you, considering he's a backup. There you go. Got you 19. Now, the fun parts. Melvin Gordon with 27. Melvin Gordon shows up in a big way. And, of course, I'm going to skip Mike Evans and go down to Amari Cooper. He showed up in a big way. The reason why we're talking about them, you know why. You know why we're talking about them. You made the trade before this week started. Now, I would be the first one to tell you, man, boy, that was what an awful trade that was that you got yourself locked into, and then they had these beast performances. Man, that was awful. Except who you're getting. They had equally as good weeks. And we'll talk to them when we talk about Kurt's team. Because, you guys traded a couple of big boys for a couple of big boys. And all of them went off this week. So there you go. At least you can't beat yourself up too badly for that trade. At all. You didn't beat yourself up at all. You gave 2 high performers. You're getting 2 high performers on the week. Going forward, we'll see how the trade works out. But right now, you're happy, man. Mr. Mike Evans, 24. Higbee, who cares? I don't care about Higbee. Who cares about Higbee when you got your first 5 positions? 4 out of 5 getting 20 plus with a 30 in there. And then T.Y. Hilton, he's another one. A lot of question marks. I don't know what to do with him going forward. It's hard to drop, and I don't think he's a drop because he's got the name. He's just not getting the opportunity. Anyways, you didn't need him either, though. You didn't need either of those positions. All right, so Cam Newton, I know I believe he's going to be out for this coming week as well, unless miracles happen. Fitzmagic might be your guy again, unless you make some moves. Chase Edmonds, with Kenyon Drake doing so poorly, Chase Edmonds got a little bit of work. Not a lot. Arizona's offense is, man, they're starting to show a little bit of disappointment across the board. And we'll get into that a little bit later as well. Of course, your other guys, Robbie Anderson, great guy. I mean, are you going to be playing him over T.Y. Hilton? And then if you got Sammy Watkins, he's kind of a lotto ticket week to week. Your flex spot, even though it's going to drive you crazy, I'm sure, this season. But your wide receiver 1 and 2 and your running back 1 and 2 are handled, right? So if you just got to beat yourself up, or not beat yourself up, but play the coaching game for one slot, your flex, okay, hey, all right, take it, man. That's why you're 3-1, man. That's why you're 3-1. Only got to worry about one position. All right, hey, congratulations for the week. Keep it going, man. Keep it going. You might find. Nope. I'm not gonna jinx it. Anyway, all right. Next matchup coming up. Okay, so the storyline of the week was Dan versus Jeff. These unprecedented times against the Banana Slugs. Brother versus brother. All right. This one was fun because you've got probably the luckiest team in terms of avoiding injuries and things like that. One of the most solid teams against the most unlucky team in the league, with the poor Banana Slugs. But let's see how this battle went. Oh, Jeff, it didn't go well for you. Dan was the top scorer, so these unprecedented times, 148 was the top score of the week. So congratulations on that, sir. Let's go through. I mean, this might sound a lot or very, very similar to the previous matchup we went over. Hey, look, there's a couple of 30s in your lineup there, Dan. Aaron Rodgers still playing with some spite. Hey, keep that up, man. The more spite plays you can get, the more ways he can stick it to his coaches and the team. Oh, yeah, ride that wave. 32.5. Look at that. Dalvin Cook still running over everybody, until Kirk Cousins can get his act together and throw some stuff. Although I think they're starting to get their air game put together here, but Dalvin Cook is still the main part of that offense in a big way, obviously, with 30 points. Josh Jacobs, you are disappointed with 8. You are. And you should be disappointed. But it's okay. It's okay when you're the top scorer. It's like, all right, let him be. All right, Will Fuller. Yeah, you played him. He's healthy. You played him, and look what he did for you. Value these games. Because Fuller, again, you're dodging bullets, and that's good. DK Metcalf with 15. He's being a solid producer for you, Going to TJ Hawkinson. Hey, fine. Fantastic. Almost 10 points from your tight end. All right. And then finally, Kenny Galladay. Yeah, I don't. Maybe I haven't talked about your wide receivers enough because I've been fawning over your running backs this season. But your wide receivers with depth, man, that's good. That's good. Scrolling down to your bench here. Um, oh, Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. What kind of team are you gonna be? Uh, Philip Lindsay. I think he's coming back this week. I think he's coming back. So holding on to him. Maybe he'll start producing for you. Well, you never know. And of course, Jerry Jeudy, man. Look, your flex spot again, just much like Josh's. That's going to be where you're going to have to make some decisions every week, and to have a decision between Galladay and Jerry Jeudy, that's a great decision to have to make. That's fun. That's fun. It's like, which one do I think will give me higher teens? Okay. Anyway, so you made the right move this week, just barely, just barely with Galladay, but yeah, no. Nothing to complain about. I'm not going to tell you any surprises. Feel good about yourself. There we go. Getting with the highest score of the week. Man, I'm surprised I wasn't your opponent the way people have been scoring. All right, now on the flip side, Jeff, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry your brother beat up on you. Maybe you can take it out on him in some petty way in real life. I don't know. But in the pretend world of football, man, ruthless. Gardner Minshew still getting it done. I appreciate the fact that you are sticking with Gardner Minshew. Gosh, oh, that's wonderful. What isn't wonderful is what happened to Sony Michel Dunsky. The fantasy football gods continue to frown upon you, and I am sorry. I'm sorry. I would say make some moves, but you've made some moves. I don't know how many more moves do they want you to make. Jerick McKinnon, there you go. There's a bright spot. Jerick McKinnon, going forward, he seems to be able to. He's getting stuff done. I mean, San Francisco is about as banged up as your team is, so, but they're getting it done. Now that Kittle's back, that should open up the run game for them quite a bit. Hunter Renfrow, he's iffy. I mean, he's going to be iffy. Scott Miller's been passed around a little bit, and I saw you snagged him. You snagged him on a good week. Going forward, we'll see if that turns into something more regular. But Scott Miller, of course, Mark Andrews. I mean, it's super high or crap. Wasn't he on the field? And this week, super high. It sucks that it was against the high score this week. But there you go. And Golden Tate, the best name in football, on the worst offense in football, in my opinion. With 4 points. All right. Still got Carson. All right. Frank Gore. Yeah. All right. Sexy Rexy. Man, well, I mean, at least you got a different piece of that running game there in New England. Get rid of Michelle and put up Rex. All right. And all the way at the bottom. Oh, you got it. Man, that guy, he's got to come back for you. He's got to come back. Look, it's still early in the season. It's still early. The sooner he can come back and start getting some work done for you, man, the better. The better. I know that's obvious. Wait for the number one receiver from last year to get better and then put him in your lineup. But that's my hot take. Wait for the number one receiver from last year to get better and put him in your lineup. All right. So, brothers beating up brothers. Oh, the calamity of it all. All right. Well, congrats to Dan. Jeff, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep going. Keep riding on the coattails of Gardner Minshew. And have fun with this, man. Have fun with it. All right. Very good. I hope you guys give each other a virtual high five after this. Maybe the loser buys the winner a beer. I don't know. All right. Hey, on to the next one. Next up, we have my team, for Castleton, against Vince and the Marsala Maulers. Now, obviously, I lost this game with Vince still being undefeated and moving to the top spot in the league. I guess my biggest disappointment is how this occurred. What happened? Now, the first three matchups we've been looking, or head-to-head matchups we've been looking at, are all the top three high scorers going against the people that they defeated, right? And this match, that same theme. I mean, 40-point difference here. Now the nice thing is, myself, I can take a look at this loss and say, hey, some guys did really well, but really it wasn't my coaching that was awful, even though I made not all the best moves. Okay, we'll look at those in a second, because it was such a thumping that I took here. But on the opposite side of it, you're like, dude, take it easy, man. I mean, dude, you had me on Sunday evening. Take it easy on Monday, right? Anyways, all right. So let's take a look at what happened. So for Castleton, again, I really like my team. I do. I like them. I don't think my record should be 1-3, but that's pretend football for you. We're starting off with Kyler Murray. Now, look, I know that the Cardinals are not living up to expectation as a whole. They really aren't. But Kyler's still doing well for fantasy. He's doing well for fantasy. So I will keep Kyler. He's not moving from that spot. Stay in my QB. So Arizona, just keep playing him. Just keep playing him. Aaron Jones, oh man, I was, Monday night hoping for a miracle, obviously with 40 points or, going into Monday night more than that down. I knew it wasn't going to work out for me, especially after news of Davante Adams sitting out, even though he was kept saying and tweeting and saying, oh, I'll go from 100%, giving everybody high hopes. And then the unfortunate thing was, even if I wanted to make a move and take Davante Adams out, I couldn't. I literally could not. The three people I had available that if I wanted to drop one and pick up somebody else, Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Davante Adams. And all three of those, NFL.com, not that I would have dropped them, but NFL.com prevents you from dropping them. So, because everybody else had played, you can't drop somebody that's already played. So I was stuck with Davante Adams. I knew he was going to give me a goose egg. But again, I can look at the score and say, it's okay. It would have happened anyways. That would not have changed the result. So, anyway, Aaron Jones, happy with the 19. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he keeps hitting his floor of my expectations. And which, okay, all right. I want him to do better. Clyde. Get it together, man. So this week, it just happened to be the week where it was a Woods Cup, and it was Cup's week. You can look right across under the other column there and see Cooper Kupp did better than Woods. I think as a whole, the Rams put up I think Goff was pretty awful this week too, if I remember. So as a whole, man. All right, Vince, you got me on the Cooper Kupp side of things. In fact, there were a couple crossovers here. My Kyler Murray, his DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Who's going to win that fight? Yeah, there were a couple of those in this game. Made it interesting, if somewhat disappointing on my end. At least on the Robert Woods side. Terry McLaurin, man, somebody make me an offer for Terry McLaurin, because you are going to have to pay. He is sticking in my lineup Hey, but look on the other side there, though. Look on there's another Washington football team guy, Mr. Antonio Gibson. We'll talk about him in a second. Anyway, Terry McLaurin, fantastic, buddy. Keep it up, man. Ertz, disappointment. Tight end. I'll just say tight end. It doesn't matter who I have in there. Because I don't have Kelsey. I don't have Mark Andrews. I don't have Kittle. Disappoint. That's what I'm going to Anyway. Talked about Devontae Adams' move. Okay, so on my bench, Cam Akers is supposedly coming back, so I'll see if he's worth keeping. I've been sitting on him anyway. Latavius Murray, hey, he found the end zone a couple times, so maybe I can get sneaky and put him in a trade and trick somebody into giving me something better than what they should because of Latavius Murray. Totally going to do that. Anyway. But Justin Jefferson, hey, I'm really happy that I was able to grab him last week. I spent 36 fab, something like that on him out of 100. So it was a big chunk, and thrilled that I got him. And then a little Marvin Jones. Oh, little Marvin Jones. Oh, you might as well be a tight end this year. Okay, going on to Vince's team. Let's talk about Dak Prescott here. Usually when you've got points like that, 41 points, you've got one of those like quarterbacks that's just tearing it up in a good way. Like their team is just clicking and they're winning and they're winning. Dak Prescott is the best loser for fantasy football. In any position, across the board, he is the best, worst player right now. And I'm all happy about that, okay? I love seeing the Cowboys lose. I love seeing them lose when they're trying so hard. I just don't want to go up against Dak Prescott again. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. 41 points. Not the top scorer of the week, but 41 points. Keep playing from behind, Dallas, and have the worst defense in the league to support your 500 yards passing in one game. Lord. All right, well, 41 points. Hey, if he goose-egged, I would have won. Ronald Jones, he was solid for you. And Gibson, he finally, I'd mentioned before, that was a good snag in the draft. I wanted him. I would have suffered through the last 3 weeks to get to where we are now because I figured it was coming. But, I think Washington finally figured out Antonio Gibson's really good. He's really good. So, 20 points. He couldn't have waited one more week to finally get that. Anyways. All right. So, your running backs are nice. DeAndre Hopkins was a surprise. Well below his floor. They, like I said, Arizona's offense, they're struggling. They're struggling. And Hopkins is paying the price. Cooper Kupp, there we go. You rolled you didn't roll the dice, but we flipped that coin. Cooper Kupp got it this week. 15 points. There's the ever inspiring tight end position, Evan Ingram. Even on that bad offense, I think he's their best thing going. So 6.5 points. Hooray! DJ Chark coming back. You can't complain with that. I think he was a big reason for Gardner Minshew having a good week when you see DJ Chark back. So there you go. 25 in your flex against, what did my flex do? Oh, he didn't play. All right. Moving on to your bench. Cole Beasley's starting to wake up a little bit. And N'Keal Harry, I know that's a disappointment. He was talked up pretty well, but again, look, this week you can't really judge New England for this week. Cam being out, were their QBs atrocious. All right, and then Gesicki and your two tight ends down there, Gesicki and Bryant. All right, okay. Playing the tight end game. This week you chose wisely. You chose wisely. All right. Hey, good game, Vince. Good game. I hope you don't stay at the top very long. Ooh. So continuing the theme of head-to-head matchups that aren't really that close, here's one that's a little bit closer. a little bit closer. 25 points difference. We've got Scott the hopeful yokel against John the Younger playing Nero's fiddle. Yes. All right. Now, I will say this. Both of these guys being Browns fans, there was a lot of camaraderie and good sportsmanship during that game. Because we're going to start with the obvious. Nick Chubb. Scott, I'm sorry. That's the big one of the week, right? The big injury of the week. Look, come into the week having the best running back core in the league and then losing, anyone would have been happy to have Chubb, right? I would have enjoyed a Chubb. But anyways. So Nick Chubb going down, that sucks. It didn't help that your opponent had Kareem Hunt, the other side of that running back duo that Cleveland has been using so well this year. So, anyways, going forward, look, you've got a little bit of depth at running back, which is good, but I mean, how you're not gonna? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. An uphill battle to make up for that loss. Looking up at your New Orleans connection, right? Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara. Hey, all right. There you go. They're doing all right. Obviously, you want more from Kamara, and usually that means there will be a little more from Drew Brees. But they did well for you, right? They did well. Jamison Crowder, hey, almost 17 points from a New York Jet who was in your lineup. Good call on that. Good call on that. I don't think I would have been brave enough to play anybody from the Jets right now, but that was a good play. Good play. Let's see, and of course Tyreek Hill. You're gonna have him in. Noah Fant went down too. I know it's not nearly as devastating, as Chubb, but I think he's week to week now. So, there might be, might be even more decisions to make for this pretend football. All right, and Michael Gallup, that's a huge, what happened? Was he the only guy that was covered from Dallas? Because how did he only have 3.9 points when they threw for 500 plus yards? That don't make no sense. All right, so let's take a look at your bench here. Myles Gaskin, okay. Hey, Jamal Williams, he showed up. He might start to become a thing. Now, that's much to the chagrin of the Aaron Jones owner, but he might be good for you. Marquise Brown, there's that third piece of that Baltimore running. I'm sorry, he's the wide receiver. But anyway, the Baltimore teams, their players, I think overall have been disappointing. But Marquise Brown, he'll have his week. Still in a good team. Not like you're going to get rid of him. All right. And Jarvis Landry getting tricky. There you go. 12 points. But on your bench, where he belongs. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But he's going to have to prove some stuff before I think anyone's going to put him. Even a Cleveland Browns fan, I think you recognize the fact that he is where he belongs. All right. Going on to John and Nero's fiddle here. I didn't realize you played Jared Goff. I'm sure it was a matchup thing. Considering you played him over Deshaun Watson. Now, we'll talk about Deshaun Watson a little bit more, but it was still the right call based on the matchup. It was just like, woo, what happened to Goff, man? And his whole team kind of paid for that. Let's see. Elliott, he was, 16 points is fine, right? That's fine. But he was game scripted out from the from the word go. You know, once they're behind and playing from behind constantly, as much fun as it was for the Cleveland fans to watch that game, and it was fun. It was fun, but it did game script out Elliott. But then, of course, you've got Kareem Hunt, and going forward, holy cow, he's going to be a monster. Congratulations on, I don't know, having the guy who survived. All right, Thielen. Like I said, Minnesota's starting to get their act together. They're starting to click. Kirk Cousins is starting to find Thielen again. And there you go, 25 points to prove it. Stephon Diggs, still fantastic for you. So wide receivers good. You're getting a bump to your running backs. I think Dallas is gonna, they're gonna have to anyway. There, it's looking really good. I think 123 in terms of your top score going forward with the adjustments that I'm sure you'll make at QB that's going to be a low score for you. You know what I mean? Yeah, going forward, that's a solid lineup you got going on there. Mo Alley Cox. Look, I know I traded him to you, just because tight end things, right? 7.8 points for Mo Alley Cox. Maybe he'll see more. I think he's going to be, much like every tight end, very, very touchdown dependent. So there we go. Todd Gurley, getting you 18. Unfortunately, he's still on Atlanta. But, I mean, take the 18, right? That's a fantastic score considering the situation that he's in. All right, so looking on your bench here, Deshaun Watson, 23, almost 24 points. And everybody else is kind of, all right, okay, all right. But, yeah, solid week. You got some solid numbers there. Going forward, I think you got a lot to look forward to. Moving ahead from where you're at. All right, so there we go. There was Scott and John. Next matchup, we're starting to get a little bit closer in the scores, a little bit closer. So let's see what the next matchup has for us. Now, look, I know what you guys are thinking right now. You're like, wait, I thought you said the next game, it was closer. The score was closer. Well, get your calculator out. It is. It's closer. 18 points. Look, that was the theme of this week, right? Anyway. We have Steve with Roy versus John the Elder with Bones Bombers. Now, of course, Bones came into this week being one of two undefeated teams, and he left with a defeat. So, let's take a look and see what happened, because it's a pretty interesting goings on here. We're going to start with Roy. Steve, your team. Solid week, obviously solid. I mean, you got the W, 121. So solid performance from everybody. Nobody went crazy. Nobody. I don't think there were any surprises in terms of. With the exception of maybe CeeDee Lamb getting 22, but nobody went nuts. You didn't have any 30s or 40s, right? At least not on your starters, not from your starters. But Patrick Mahomes, I'll tell you, I was getting worried in that game when it was 6-3 for forever, and Mahomes didn't have. But then, I mean, he just flipped that switch, turned it right on, and boom, there you go. Got you the 20. Because I know you needed that too. Going into Monday night, you didn't go in with the lead. And anyway, moving on, Devin Singletary and James Robinson. There you go. Solid. Devontae Parker. CeeDee Lamb. I mean, look, that's what you get. That's what you get when you're a wide receiver for Dallas and they throw for 1 billion yards. With the exception of Gallup, apparently, your wide receiver is going to do all right. So good on you for putting them in there. And Austin Hooper, hey, he broke 10 points. Hooray, hooray. Brandon Cooks. Now, I am shocked. I am shocked that you have not spite dropped him. I mean, I literally just took a look at your roster, and he's on your bench where he belongs, but I don't even think he belongs there. I would have spite dropped him, and then I would have picked him up off waivers for 0 because no one's going to bid for him, and drop him again. It's very satisfying to do that. Double spite drop for 0 fab. Anyways, Brandon Cooks. Ugh, whatever. All right, now look at it. Was that a precise analysis? I think that was pretty precise. Says it all. All right, so Mr. Tom Brady, was it 5 touchdowns? Wow. Still, he got those 5 touchdowns on your bench. I mean, look in there. You know, you had a couple surprise bye weeks, right? Nobody of really any impact, obviously. You were still able to fill out your starters. I don't think you were going to play Deontay Johnson, right? But Allen Robinson, look, there's your replacement, obviously. There's your flex guy. Seems to be the only thing Chicago's got going for them right now in their offense. So there you go. 22 from him. Even though it's on your bench, at least. Man, I just see a lot of zeros, and that's unfortunate. I know. Surprise bye weeks, I know. But Brandon Cooks being in the game with a goose egg, as rare as that is, I'm not going to tell you what to do, Steve. I'll just tell you what I would do. Spot drop. Okay. Looking John the Elder with Bones Bombers. Coming in this week with one of the more solid lineups. But his lineup this week, not getting it done. Now, I think a big part of that was the surprise bye weeks. Obviously. When your running back 1 is like, hey, the whole team's out. That's going to make it. And I think that what obviously made a difference here. If not getting the W, it would have been much closer. Anyway, but let's talk about who you did start, right? Lamar Jackson. Hey, man, he had that 50-yard touchdown run. Just ripped it right off. Man, that was incredible. Against my football team as well. But I didn't think the football team was going to beat the Ravens. I don't know. So, Lamar Jackson getting you to 25. He had a week. Finally, right? Finally. Chris Carson looking as good as ever. You know, man, I mean, worried after that injury last week, but it didn't seem to affect him. 23 points. Josh Kelly. Now, you would have thought, now I know he was a last-minute replacement, but given the situation that happened with Eckler going out, you would have thought he would have done better. So 2.8 from him. Now, obviously, you're not going to be getting rid of him. Disappointed, yes. But going forward as a flex option for you, you can sit on him and see if he does pan out to be anything special there on the Chargers. But anyway, 2.8, yeah. Tyler Boyd giving you his floor. There you go. Now, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'm going to say personally, this one feels a little bit, because I had him against you last week, and you had Lazard, and I saw in that game how awful MVS is. He is not good. He drops everything that's thrown his way. But you picked him up, and if he was on waivers, I know because I dropped him, but I looked back to see if he was still available once Devontae Adams' situation started to become apparent. But saw that you already had him, and I thought, if he goes off for Bones Bombers. And then I thought, he's not going to go off for Bones Bombers because he's awful. There you go. 6.5. I hope you spike drop him. It'll feel good. It'll feel good. It won't change your score, but it'll feel good, right? All right. MVS. All right, there you go. Travis Kelce, you know, he didn't reach his floor. You know, you usually expect about 10, at least, from him. But the way that game was going, weird game. Yeah, they're not really turning up. And he was getting targets, too. I don't know. Yeah, I watched that game, and he was getting some targets. Anyway, 8.5 from Kelce. And then Brandon Ayuk. He's got a fun name. Here out with Golden Tate. Ayuk. Getting you 12 points. Going forward, we'll see. I mean, San Francisco's so busted up right now. Hold on to them. Hold on to all of them, right? All right. Tannehill. I mean, not that you would have played him anyway, but surprise. He's not playing. There we go. Gus Edwards. There's the third part of that Baltimore backfield that's just nobody knows what to do with anybody. And, of course, below him, there's your difference maker right there. Derrick Henry being out. Now, the good news is you've got him going forward for the rest of the season, assuming nothing else happens, which something else will happen, but maybe it won't be to them. But their bye week's out of the way. All right, moving forward. Zach Moss, I believe Moss is coming back. And so the Buffalo situation, that's going to see some stuff. And Hayden Hurst. You know, you picked him up. And we'll see. We'll see what he does on your bench. We'll see. It's tempting with Atlanta's offense to, man, Hayden Hurst, maybe to. Nope, I did it for a couple weeks. Anyway. All right, so, you know, obviously there are external reasons why your score wasn't where it normally is. So going forward, you know, I don't think there's no panic situation for you, obviously. Still doing, 3-1. Both of you guys being 3-1. You're in a place I wish I was right now. Where I should be. I'm not bitter. All right. Anyway. All right. Good matchup. We're getting closer now. Moving on to the one that's too tight. See? Look. I wasn't kidding. This was the closest match we've had this season by far. 1.3. Now, obviously a very low-scoring affair on both sides. We had Kurt, who apparently he's still feeling fine, against Ryan and the Black Swan event. One team was affected by the virus fiasco pretty substantially. And the other team, well, let's look at it. Let's look at Kurt, who's feeling fine. Let's look at what's going on. Now, first thing I want to say is, again, he was the other side of that trade I was talking about. So Josh and Kurt, they made a pretty substantial trade. And Kurt is trading away Odell Beckham and Joe Mixon on weeks where they both went kaboom. And let's see. He's getting Cooper and Melvin Gordon. Amari Cooper and Melvin Gordon. Who both of them in their own right this week. So 4 really explosive players for this week. Again, we're going to see how that trade pans out. But I don't think either side is, going into next week being like, man, I shouldn't have made that trade. Or, we'll see how it all pans out. So, Kurt's lineup next week will be changing significantly. And I've got to give Kurt some credit. He is making moves. He's making more moves by far than anybody. You look at the fab list. A lot of people out there still have 100 fab. Come on, guys. Come on. The fab system is Anyways, I'll rant about that later. All right, Matt Ryan with 12 points. I don't know what your options are there, except try to find someone new. Atlanta is a fiasco. And, I mean, granted, this week it affected Ryan more than it affected you, but only 12 points from a QB. I'd have to scroll down the list to see where he actually ended up in the ranks. You don't expect that from a QB. Of course, the big thing, Austin Eckler being done, that sucks, man. Really sucks. And, just keep doing what you're doing. Make some more moves. You've got a decent replacement coming in. So you're not completely hosed. You pre-moved. I know you didn't see the future, but that sucks. I mean, if you had Melvin Gordon with Austin Eckler, that combo would have been ridiculous. We've got Miles Sanders. Disappoint. Look. This both sides of this is going to be just disappoint. Just stamp it on your forehead, right? Both of you guys. So DJ Moore, what's going on there? Of course, Odell Beckham and the Browns getting tricky on the the Cowboys. Oh, fun to watch. And Logan Thomas. Again, look at who's throwing to him. Being a Washington football team fan, that's concerning. Now, granted, looking down at your bench, you had Jonnu Smith, and I have a feeling going forward, again, you don't have to worry about bye weeks with him anymore, at least not scheduled ones. So going forward, you've got a decent option there. Just didn't help you this week. T. Higgins, you picked him up last week off the waivers. I'm hearing about him a lot on waiver shows again waiver reports this week as well, and you've already snagged him, so there you go. Especially until they figure out what's going on with DJ Moore. Anyway, I didn't finish off your starters here. Darrell Henderson, what the crap, man? What the crap? You were the hotness. He was the hotness going into this, and now Akers coming back. It's just that whole convoluted situation. I don't even know why I'm keeping Akers and getting a part of that, but anyway, whatever. Okay, moving on to your bench. Obviously, Joe Mixon, you ended up with a W, but 42 points. I mean, he finally did something. All right, Russell Gage. Anyway. Hey, you got the W. Take the W. Obviously, you're going to take the W. So let's look at the opposite side here. The difference between 1 point, 3 point. What sucks is these close ones. They're the ones that stick with you. They're the ones that you're like, oh man, I lost by 40 points. It's like, oh well, that's just the football gods, the fantasy football gods. It's tough. It's tough evaluating, and it's gonna stick. It's gonna stick in there until next week, right? Next week when you get to start anew. So let's see what happened here, Ryan. Let's see what happened. Now, obviously, being the victim of the COVID situation, you got Russell Wilson. He's not going anywhere, right? He did well for you. Look, it wasn't the 40, 30, or 40 points that we've been used to, but you're not going to get that every week. 23 points. That is good. That's good. That's what you expected of your QB. And then David Johnson with only 10. And then Jonathan Taylor with only 8. Skipping the goose egg. We'll come back to the goose egg. Laviska. Laviska. I've been saying Lishka. Laviska Chenault. I think you've just picked up a lot of guys with some fun names because you want to hear me try to pronounce them. I'm convinced of this. Yeah, no, he's also, yeah, a lot of waiver wire reports are like, hey, get this guy. Well, you got him, and he's on your team. I know you're a Jaguars fan, so there you go. Jimmy Graham, I know you were reaching off of last week's performance, but that's what we got to do at tight end. You gotta try to grab the ones that's hot, right? And Randall Cobb, man, the Texans. Hopefully things are looking up for the Texans, right? After they've got some changes coming. All right, so looking on your bench here, see that James Conner and the Juju Smith-Schuster? See those goose eggs? Yeah, that's external circumstances. Calvin Ridley. You know, that is enough to make you pull your hair out. We talked about the goose egg in the earlier matchup, and it was like, oh, spike drop. I know you're not spike dropping Calvin Ridley. You can't. But Calvin Ridley getting you a goose egg, completely unforeseeable, completely awful, and is the sole reason for your loss, even if it was more than what it was. Gosh, not even one target, or sorry, one catch, not even one catch from Calvin Ridley. Gosh, man. All right. Hey, look, next week, you're going to have your guys back. Again, I know I said it on the flip side with some of the other teams, but you've got one of your core running backs, James Conner, no more bye week to worry about. Juju Smith-Schuster, no more bye week to worry about. So there you go. That's fantastic. That's good. Now, this other guy, Zacchaeus, I'm going to call him O-Man because I'm not going to pronounce that. I don't appreciate you putting him in your bench to try to make me pronounce that. It's really, man. Zacchaeus, Mr. O-Man. It's like, oh, would you have played him over Calvin Ridley? No, never, ever. But he would have won it. That's what I'm talking about. That's why. Rage is building in you. I know. All right. Anyway. An unfortunate loss, a close loss, but going forward, I think you'll still be okay. I think there are still some moves to be made, but don't be afraid to throw some trades around, man. Even if you get rejected, throw some trades around. Try to see what's fair. Look what other teams need. Look what you have. Anyway, all right. Okay. That's the last of the head-to-head matches that we had. So there we go. All right, good game. The only close game we had, and it was a squeaker. All right. So just in closing, week 4 is in the books. Week four is in the books. So looking at the Fab situation, I just want to make a couple comments. Now, I'm not trying to coach anybody else's team. Some of you guys have not needed to make any moves, and for that, I am jealous. But we've got 6 teams that haven't spent any Fab. I'm not saying you should have spent X amount of Fab so far, but this week in particular, it's pretty weak in terms of waiver wire targets, right? And you don't have to do a lot of research. You don't have to listen to podcasts or anything like, I read a lot of things for fantasy football because I enjoy it, But, if you have a major guy go down, try to make a move, try to pick somebody up off of waivers. That way you don't have to try to consider trades and worry about if someone's trying to rip you off if they're offering trades to you and stuff like that. So the Fab is there to make sure that everybody is competitive. Take advantage of that. Worried about injuries and stuff, start picking up some handcuffs. I think right now you can start to see who's worth keeping on your bench and who isn't. Right? If you got somebody who's got 13 points total over 4 weeks, you could probably drop them. So look at that stuff. Start trying to bolster your roster. Bolster your roster against a lot of these shenanigans that are going on. Try to minimize your risk. Anyways, all right. You guys all enjoy yourselves. Have fun out there. Stay safe. And I will see you guys next week.